Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants, and welcome to the end of a very, very long day. I just finished out my day by watching the new Avatar, which was, of course, written and directed by James Cameron. So, first I should sum up how I feel about the first one. I was never a fan. I've described it for many years as Pocahontas with blue people. It's just your very basic story. People bad, nature good type thing. Completely one-dimensional characters. Nothing interesting at all except for the effects. The CGI was amazing. I never went and saw it in theaters though. And so I had many people tell me, well, of course you didn't appreciate it. You didn't see it in IMAX or in 3D or anything. So you would appreciate it more if you had seen it in that way. And I figured they were probably right, but I was like, that wouldn't fix a story from being completely boring. But regardless, I was like, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And so when the sequel comes out, not only will I actually go see it, I'll make sure to see it in 3D and on the biggest screen that I can manage. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. I didn't hate it. And I don't know if it was maybe just years of being jaded by Marvel movies, but I thought it was just as good, if not better, than pretty much anything in the MCU for the last few years. I mean, I don't want to say that, wow, it was an amazing movie, it was breathtaking and groundbreaking. I mean, the special effects were great, and I'm sure that they're groundbreaking. Once again, I don't really care about that. Good CGI a good movie does not make. You know, you can use special effects to make a movie better, but the special effects are not and cannot be the reason the movie's good. So yeah, the special effects in this movie were outstanding, but so were the special effects when I went on the Avatar ride at Disney World. Disney World's ride is not a good movie. Is this a good movie? Define good. I'd give it a 6. I enjoyed it more than I didn't, which is more than I can say for the first one. I think this one was significantly better because the story has a little bit of a plot. It's not a wholly original plot either. It's just bad guy wants to kill good guy, you know, but it's not trying to be highbrow for the most part. That 3-hour runtime definitely is saying, hey, we're serious, take us serious. But overall, I think I was just able to enjoy it a little bit more because it wasn't quite as annoying as the first one. And I mean, there were more interesting characters I felt in this one. Granted, all the main characters are still pretty bland, but there was just some characters, like the main character from the first one has kids now, and I was actually interested in the kids and their relationships and stuff. So overall, like I said, is it good? Depends on what you call good. Is it being a 6 good? Then sure, yeah, it was like a 6 out of 10. It's not going to make any sort of top 10 list for me, but it's not going to make my worst movies list, which I went into it thinking, hey, it might. If it's dumb enough, it might. And trust me, this movie is dumb. There's a million stupid things. I was going to say plot holes. I don't know that they're plot holes. It's just characters being dumb, you know, and doing things that don't quite make sense. And also just the script writers not knowing how basic things work. Like, so I don't know if you knew from the trailer or not, but there's different kinds of avatars. There's the blue ones that we all know of that live in the trees, but now there's water ones in this different part of the world, and or moon or whatever they're on, and they're like an aquamarine, so they've got a slight green tint to them. They've also got different sort of tails that like help them swim, different kind of arms and stuff, so they're a little bit different. But anyway, that's kind of pointless. It's just interesting. I mean, the world building is interesting. But my point being, they're around water a lot, and these tree avatars aren't used to swimming a lot, and so multiple times they're just caught in bad situations, and multiple times characters pass out underwater and then are just miraculously fine. I don't think James Cameron understands how drowning works, because you can't just pass out underwater, be brought to the surface, wake up and be fine. Like, you need your stomach and your lungs pumped, and you need you need CPR. But multiple times people pass out underwater and then are just fine. And it's like, that's really, really stupid. And I'm gonna get into spoilers now because I don't think it matters. People aren't watching this for the plot anyway, but it helps me explain how stupid some of the stuff is. But if you care, then, you know, click away, go watch it, come back, and we can talk about it then. But just make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So my biggest pet peeve with this whole movie, beyond the fact that it's 3 hours and it probably could have been about 100 minutes instead, would have been a lot better, but we waste a lot of time with stuff that's just like, well, that was fine, I guess, but what are we doing? My biggest pet peeve is, so the bad guy from the first one dies at the end of the first one, but apparently at some point they had set up other avatars, like they had the avatar for the main character in the first one. Now they're taking the memories of these Marines and these personalities of these Marines and putting them into avatars like they did with the main character from the first one, now for the bad guys. So now the bad guy from the first one is back as an avatar. Okay, so he goes to attack them because now, instead of trying to get unobtainium doesn't matter anymore. We've completely, thankfully, thrown that whole stupid thing out the window. Now we just care about the bad guy trying to kill the good guy. There's a minor subplot about there's this other sort of, like, I forget what they call it, but it's like, it's this resin or something that exists in the brain of this animal, and it's worth $80 million or whatever. So there is that. There is money stuff, but that's not important. We just care about the bad guy wanting to kill the good guy. So he attacks and kidnaps Spider, who is the young kid. There was a baby that got left behind because you can't cryogenically freeze babies to travel back to Earth for some reason. You're not allowed to do that with babies, and so they had to leave a couple of humans behind, and he was one of them. Now he's like 14 or something, 13 something, and he is integrated into the Avatar world, or the Na'vi, and he acts in every way as a Na'vi acts. But anyway, so he gets kidnapped by the bad guys, and so the main character goes to his wife and says, all right, they're here because they want to kill me. And she's like, all right, well, we'll fight them. And he says, no, we can't fight them. They'll kill us all. Let's run away. And it's like, well, wasn't the ending of the first one you fighting them and winning? Why do you now think fighting them is impossible? Like, I mean, sure, you're outnumbered and outgunned, but you were last time and you won. So why now this time do you think it's impossible to win? But whatever, he's like, I need to run away. So we're gonna go live with these people. Because it would be impossible for the bad guys to find us, come here and kill all these people. It's just so idiotic. It is the dumbest plot I've ever heard. It's so frustrating because it's like, first of all, like I said, why not stand your ground and fight? And two, why do you think running away is going to help anything at all? He's just going to kill everybody until he finds you. So you're actually getting more people killed by your stupidity. So that's my biggest pet peeve. It's really dumb. It's really stupid. Another big pet peeve is maybe I fell asleep for like 5 minutes there and missed something, but like I said, they kidnapped this kid named Spider, and they try to get him to tell them where the main character is, and they've got this like mind reading device, and so they say, all you have to do is just think about him and we'll know from your brain activity where he is. And they're interrogating him, and he somehow manages to not have a single thought, which, based on this character, isn't that surprising, but it was funny. He's like, hey, he's not having a single thought. It's like, wow, impressive. It's impressive levels of stupid. But anyway, he refuses at all costs. He's like, I'll never tell you, I'll never tell you, I'll never tell you. And so this kid is the son of the bad guy from the first one. Technically not related to the new bad guy in this one, because even though he has the memories and personality of the bad guy, he's not him because he's an avatar with the personality. So it's like they're not technically related, but there's kind of a connection there where they're curious about each other. So the bad guy goes and like, well, let me try a different tact. So he goes to him and is like, hey, I'm not technically your dad, but I have his memories, and I know well enough from his memories that he wasn't a great dad, and I'm sorry about that. And so he's like trying to be nice to him. It doesn't seem to be affecting him at all, though. He's still loyal to his friends. Next time we see them, though, he's showing them around, and he's like, here, I'll give you the inside scoop, and hey, that's not how you're supposed to speak Na'vi, I'll teach you, and hey, you need to ride this dragon, and I'll show you how. And it's like, what the fuck? When did this happen? And then all of a sudden now he's on their side until they start killing people, and then he feels sad and bad about it. Not that his acting would tell you that, but he says it. He's not a great actor. I don't know. It was, that didn't make sense to me at all. So, no, the plot is still incredibly dumb. But like I said, if you kind of approach it the same way as you do, say, the MCU, you just turn your brain off and you watch it, it's similar levels of entertaining. And there's not really any of those really stupid jokes that the MCU shoves into every conversation. So that's a plus, honestly, really. Granted, the other downside is that the characters, at least the main ones, aren't really all that interesting. Like I said, the kids are a little bit better, but some of the acting isn't great. Probably the best actor in the whole movie is Zoe Saldana. She's really trying in this movie, and I give her props for that. I will say, with the CGI being as good as it is, and the CGI is amazing, at times the faces still aren't quite right and lack a little bit of emotion. There's this scene where she's crying because, we're in spoilers so I can say it, one of the sons dies, which is kind of a gut punch, and she's hysterical about it, but her face just isn't quite reading right. She looks still a little bit blank, and I'm like, well, that didn't translate well, like your face capture didn't work quite right there or something. But for the most part, the CGI is really good, and she's a great actress. But, you know, like I said, the kid that played Spider isn't great. Some of the lines are really tough to get through, and the situations are really tough to get through. Like, they're explaining what I was explaining about how he's now in the Avatar body because they had this program going, and there's this pre-recorded message, and it looks like one of those messages that you would watch while in line at Disney World, you know, before a ride, and it's like, we're explaining to you this and that, and it's like, that was terrible. That was legitimately bad. So, like I said, if you approach it like it's just a cheesy, fun pastime, it works as that. But then the problem with that then is it's 3 hours. So who wants a cheesy, fun pastime for 3 hours? It's obnoxiously long for that. So if there was like a cool 100-minute edit, awesome. Take out a bunch of shit. Other than that, I don't know that many people would want to watch this a second time. Like, I'm not mad I watched it the first time. I don't feel like I wasted my time, even though it was over long. But I don't ever want to watch it again, you know? So, was it bad? No. Was it good? Okay, yeah, it was fine. But I'm not going to be impacted by it at all. Just like the first one had absolutely zero impact on culture as we know it, other than it popularized 3D, but 3D would have gotten popular anyway with its advances and, you know, CGI and stuff. I don't see this making an impact at all, and it's a shame because it's probably still going to somehow turn a profit, because these James Cameron movies always do, but they're never really worthy of it. Like, this is probably going to be the highest grossing movie of all time now. Does it deserve it? Not at all, but neither did the first one, and neither did Endgame. So, I mean, what does that even mean anymore? Highest grossing movie. It used to be movies like Gone with the Wind or whatever, but that's long gone. It's just whatever appeals to the lowest common denominator anymore, and this definitely hits on that. Going back to the whales, though, there was some weird shit there. So, I don't entirely know how the one kid who was from the tree Navi is forced to go to the water Navi, and he meets this ancient whale thing, who's an outcast from the other whales, and they don't know why yet. It turns out that he killed people, and that's against their code. Even though he was trying to kill bad guys, it's not okay. But anyway, so this whale saves him from drowning because he's underwater hiding from a fish, and I actually said out loud, there's always a bigger fish, and about 10 seconds later, the whale attacks the giant fish that was trying to kill him, and I was like, great. Is James Cameron friends with George Lucas? Because that was perfect. Anyway, he's been underwater too long still anyway, even though now he's saved. And so he tries to swim to the surface and passes out. And then it cuts forward, and it looks like he's on a rock. But then it turns out, no, he's not on a rock. He's on this whale. The whale lifted him up. And he's fine. He didn't drown, apparently, even though he passed out underwater, you know, because who even know how drowning works? And so then they start communicating, and they have like a friendship, but the whale tries to talk to him, and he's like, I have no idea what you're saying, because it's a whale. He doesn't know how to talk to whales, but he tries that these water Navi have a sign language, and he tries using the sign language on the whale, and it works. He's like, great. So he can communicate to the whale, and the whale can kind of just like blink at him and nod and stuff, and you kind of figure it out. That's all fine. Cut to later, it comes back, and he's like, so wait, why were you cast out? And the whale responds, I can't tell you, it's too painful. And he goes, oh, come on, you can trust me. How does the whale convey, oh, I can't tell you, it's too painful, with nods and blinks? Like, what? Or did he just magically learn how to talk whale? I'm not sure. So, yeah, no, this movie is one of those movies that you cannot think about at all, or you'll pick it apart to death. But it was entertaining for what it's worth. And I really didn't expect to say that. I really expected to come out of that going, that was the worst movie of the... And it wasn't. It wasn't. As somebody who actively hates the first one and was ready to hate this movie, I went into this movie prepared to hate it, and I came out going, well, it wasn't that bad. That's the best endorsement you're gonna get from me. It wasn't that bad. So anyway, if you saw it, let me know what you thought of it, or if you're interested now, please go see it and then let me know. But yeah, it's hard because like it's of a caliber that I would say wait for streaming, but like it also is begging to be watched in 3D. So I'll just leave that up to you. If you don't want to give them your money, I'm kind of mad at myself for giving James Cameron my money because he doesn't deserve it, but whatever. So yeah, just let me know what you think whenever you see it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Glad I finally watched a Turn Your Brain Off movie. Watched The Fabelmans, you know, Spielberg's love letter to cinema, followed by Damien Chazelle's hate letter to cinema, and then Avatar. Just Avatar. It was a good time. Good time to just turn your brain off and stop thinking for a minute.